Aren't you going to have one?
Not at the moment.
That girl, the one who phoned you, the one that said she was me.
Yes?
Do you happen to remember if she had an accent?
Yes, she had. A slight North Country one.
Did she sound...
Miss White, I didn't bring you here to discuss a phone call. I brought you here because in the taxi, you said you knew who killed my father.
Yes. If I tell you about your father, if I tell you what happened the night before he was killed, will you promise
Look,
me...
shall we just get one thing clear? I'm not in a position to promise anything.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm not investigating the Delaney murder. In fact, right now, officially, I'm not investigating anything. I'm on leave. I took a risk in bringing you here instead of taking you to the yard. If you tell me all you know about my father, I'll try and help you. Now, I can't say more than that.
Well, I met Rupert last year in Liverpool. Then, a few months ago, he got me into a review down here at the St. Edward's. It was a flop.
Yes, I know.
While the show was on, I was in digs in Notting Hill Gate. But then when it closed, I moved in with Rupert. He'd been wanting me to do that for some time, but I'd always... Anyway, it worked out better than I thought it would. We were very happy together, first at any rate.
Go on.
He always seemed to have plenty of money, and I must admit he was generous with it. He said he was in property and that an uncle of his had died just after the war and left him $250,000. And one night last week, the night before your father was killed, we went to a cocktail party. We were both feeling pretty high when we got back to the flat. It was about 10:30. Hey, what is this, Rupert?
My God, what a dull party.
It wasn't that dull.
Oh, that corny old story about the psychiatrist. Hey, who was that little woman with a large behind?
I don't know. Never seen her before. She couldn't speak a word of English.
Oh, she got by.
Darling, what time's our plane tomorrow morning?
12 o'clock. We'll be in Paris for lunch. Oh, hell.
Are you expecting anyone?
No?
Well, who can it be?
Well, I don't know.
I'll go.
No, I'll get it.
Thank goodness you're in. I've been trying to phone you. What the devil's the matter with you?
Well, I've been out all evening. Come in, Charles.
I won't come in. I just want a quick word with you.
What's the matter, Charles? Something happened?
Yes, Mel Harris phoned me. He's been talking to Mrs. Lincoln. He's found that Kerry's going to be at the golf club. It's tomorrow morning, Rupert.
What do you mean?
You know damn well what I mean. Bob Kerry, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock at the golf club.
It's no good, Charles. I can't do it. No, I've thought about this. I've thought about nothing else ever since.
But we've been through all this. We've been through it 1,000 times. Now you'll be there tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, sharp. At the club. Hello, Kathy. I didn't know you were here.
Aren't you going to have a drink, Charles?
No, thank you. I was passing and I thought I'd just have a quick word with Rupert about something,
Charles.
that's all. Not to worry, old man. Everything will be all right. Mel knows what he's doing. Oh, it's a lovely dress, Kathy.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. How's Iris these days?
Oh, she's fine.
I haven't seen her for ages.
Well, she's been pretty busy, you know how it is, and we've been going down to Aldborough most weekends. We're looking for a cottage down there.
Are you sure you won't join us for a drink, Charles?
No, I won't, Kathy. Thank you. I must be off. Good night, my dear.
Good night. What is it, Rupert? What is it? What's happened?
I'm afraid the Paris trip is off. For the time being, anyway.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, Kathy.
But why is it off? What's happening tomorrow?
I'm playing golf. I fixed it up ages ago. I just forgot all about it.
Golf? Surely to God you can cancel a game of golf.
No, I'm sorry, Kathy. There's nothing I can do about this. Nothing.
It's Harris, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Oh, it's always the same, Rupert. Mel Harris says jump, so you jump.
Shut up! This hasn't got anything to do with Mel Harris. And I've told you before, I don't want you to mention his name. Not to me or anyone else. Do you understand?
Yes, Rupert. I understand.
Oh, hell. Hell! Hell!
The next morning he still looked worried, and if anything, even more overwrought than the night before. He left the flat at about 8:30 and said he'd be back sometime during the afternoon.
Go on.
Later that morning, I think it was about 11:30, he phoned me and said that there'd been an accident and he was on his way home. Rupert, are you all right?
Yes. Has anyone called?
No.
No one?
No one. Darling, what happened?
Did anyone phone?
No, there hasn't been anything, not since you left. Darling, what's all this about an accident?
I killed a man this morning.
What?
Yeah. Accidentally, of course, on the golf course. He was in a bunker and my ball hit him. He fell down and struck his head on something.
Oh, Rupert.
I was on my own, practicing it. I didn't see him. I was standing on the tee. And it was just bad luck. There was nothing I could do about it. Nothing.
Darling, of course not. But what were you doing on your own? I thought you'd arranged
The
to play
others
with...
didn't turn up, so I waited for about an hour and I decided to play a few holes on my own.
Did you know the man?
What?
The man who was killed. Did you know him?
No, I'd never seen him before.
Who was he?
His name was Kerry.
Kerry?
Yes.
But that was the name Charles mentioned last night.
No, you're wrong.
Rupert, I'm not wrong.
I tell you, you're wrong!
Darling, I was listening. I heard it quite distinctly. I heard Charles say Bob Kerry at the golf club. Then you said...
Kathy, listen to me.
Rupert, you're hurting
You've
my arm.
got to listen to me.
My arm!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Kathy, I'm in trouble. Real trouble. You've got to help me.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to forget about last night.
Last night? You mean about Charles?
Yes. I don't want you to repeat what you heard. I want you to forget that Charles came here last night. No matter what happens, whatever you read in the newspapers, I want you to forget about last night. Completely, Kathy.
All right, Rupert. That's what you want?
That's what I want. Is it a promise?
Yes.
You sure? No more questions.
When I read about the accident, I was so worried. I knew Rupert hadn't told me the truth, and I had a feeling, a horrible feeling, that your father's death wasn't accidental. Then, early one morning, the morning of the inquest, Rupert received a phone call from Mel Harris. Oh, I was only half awake at the time, and he took it in the living room, but I'm sure I heard him say...
Yes?
I'm sure I heard Rupert say, Mel, remember this. You killed Kerry, I didn't. Now, for God's sake, leave me alone. He was furious when he got back into the bedroom, almost trembling with rage. I was so frightened, I pretended to be asleep.
This man Harris, Mel Harris, tell me all you know about him.
I don't know anything about him, except that he used to phone Rupert every morning and they'd talk for half an hour, even an hour some days. But he never came to the flat, and as far as I know, I've never met him.
What did they talk about, do you know?
Business. I told you Rupert was in property. Well, so was Mel Harris. Judging from the phone conversations, they used to buy and sell property all over the place.
Were they in business together?
Yes, Harris was the boss.
Well, why do you say that?
It was obvious. If Mel Harris said go to Birmingham or Leeds or Manchester, Rupert went. There was never any argument about it.
And Charles Bannister, how does he fit in the picture?
Charles was a friend of Rupert's. He and his wife used to come to the flat quite often. It was through Charles that Rupert met Mel Harris.
Was Bannister in the property business too?
No, I don't think so. He's a retired stockbroker.
Okay, Miss White. Now tell
Please.
me...
Kathy, I'm sorry I was rude to you in the taxi.
Tell me about last night.
Well, Rupert took me out to dinner and we...
You had a row?
Yes. A terrible row. That's why I left him.
What time was this?
Well, we left the restaurant together at about 9:30 and drove into the park. We sat in the car for about half an hour and then I got up and walked.
And then what happened?
I stayed the night with a friend of mine. I wish to God I hadn't now. Wish I'd gone back to the flat. Maybe if I'd done that... If only we hadn't had that silly little row.
What was the row about,
Oh,
Kathy?
it was nothing.
Was it about my father, about what happened?
No. It was about the silliest thing.
Well, what was it, Kathy?
It really wasn't about anything important.
Kathy, what was it about?
It was just that
Go on.
we had a row about a dog collar. I told you, didn't I? I said it wasn't important.
Look, just wait in the bedroom, will you? Kathy!
Can I come in? Well, the door was open, so... Jack, what is it? What's the matter?
Oh. I went to answer the door. There was an envelope on the mat. When I picked it up, some bastard hit... It's very easy to criticise, Ed. It's dead easy, but what would you have done in the circumstances?
You know damn well what I'd have done. I'd have taken her back to the yard.
I wonder.
Jack, you were an idiot to bring that girl back here. You're an even bigger idiot to let her slip through your fingers like that. And what the hell are we going to tell Bromford?
I'm not interested in Bromford.
Well, I am, and I'm investigating this case. You might try and remember that. The superintendent hears about this, he'll go up like a flaming rocket.
Does he have to hear about it?
What do you mean?
Well, if I find Kathy. I mean, if I just find her before...
If. Your only chance is another tip-off, and you know it. You'd never have picked her up tonight if it hadn't been for that phone call. She knew she was wanted by the police. She knew we were looking for her, so why the hell didn't she give herself up?
You know perfectly well why she didn't give herself up. She was frightened.
Well, frightened of what? If she didn't kill Delaney, what the hell she got to be frightened of?
Oh, Ed, for Pete's sake, look, she was living with Delaney, she had a flaming row with him, and her alibi isn't worth a cup of cold tea. Now, can you blame her for not going to the police?
Yes. I still say you shouldn't have brought her back
All
here.
right. So I made a mistake. It's not the first one I made, and I don't suppose it'll be the last.
Look, Jack, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll keep my mouth shut about tonight.
Thanks, Ed.
I'll say nothing for 48 hours. But if you haven't found Kathy White by this time on Thursday, I'll tell Bromford exactly what happened. I'll tell him the whole story. I have to, Jack.
Okay, that's fine. Now, listen. I want you to tell me something and be honest about it.
Now, go on.
Well, do you believe her story? Do you believe what Kathy said to me?
I believe part of it. I think she was telling the truth about your father, about what happened the night before he was killed. But I don't think she was telling the truth about Delaney.
What do you think?
Property racket. I think he was playing a very different sort of game.
What do you mean?
Well, I think Kathy White told the truth when she said he was working for that man. What was his name?
Mel Harris?
Yes. But it's my bet that Harris runs a call girl setup and runs it on a very big scale.
Well, do you think Kathy knew about this?
Well, of course she knew about it. The property story was just a cover-up for your benefit.
I don't agree. I'm sorry, Ed, I don't agree.
Well, no. I didn't think you would. You read any good books lately?
No, I know what you're I know what's going on in your sordid little mind, and you're mistaken.
Well, that makes two of us. There's the collar. We've finished with it.
Have the lab seen it?
They've all seen it. It's been right through the building. The report's negative. It's just an ordinary little dog collar. What the hell Delaney meant by that note, I can't imagine.
Neither can I.
What was it he said? This is why your father was killed?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes?
Oh, I do hope I haven't disturbed you, Mr. Carey. I'm sorry dropping in on you unannounced like this.
Well, who are you? What do you want?
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm Mrs. Lincoln's nephew, Leonard Lincoln. We haven't actually met, but I'm sure we've heard a great deal about each other from my aunt.
Yes. I'm sorry. Come in, Mr. Lincoln.
Thank you. It's very remiss of me dropping in on you like this. I do apologize.
Can I get you a drink?
That's most kind of you, but I'm afraid I don't drink.
Want a cigarette?
I'm afraid I don't smoke either. No vices, Mr. Carey, except one, perhaps. I have a disturbing habit of coming straight to the point.
At least so my colleagues tell me.
I don't think that's a vice, Mr. Lincoln. In my job, we'd consider it a virtue.
Yes, I suppose you would. Mr. Carey, I'm very worried about my aunt. Quite disturbed about her, in fact. And I thought I'd very much like to have a word with you about it.
Well, why are you disturbed, Mr. Lincoln? Incidentally, you know, of course, that she's no longer with me.
Yes, I know. I believe she's working at that new hotel in Knightsbridge. The Royal Plaza, I think it is?
Yes, that's right. Sit down, Mr. Lincoln.
Thank you. Mr. Carey, I'm very fond of my aunt, and I owe her a great deal. You see, both my parents died when I was 14, and my aunt immediately... Well, anyway, that's a long and rather tedious story. The point is, I'm very worried about her, Mr. Carey. I think she's... Well, not to put too fine a point on it, I think she's heading for a breakdown.
Now, why do you say that?
Well, it's most extraordinary. She's telephoned me 3 times since she's been in this new job, and she always talks about the same thing.
Oh, what's that?
She always talks about you, Mr. Carey. She says, this is quite absurd, and I do apologize for mentioning it, but she says you stole something from her.
Stole something?
Yes.
Now, what am I supposed to have stolen, Mr. Lincoln?
Well, that's just it. It's quite ridiculous. But she says you've stolen a dog collar.
I presume you mean the one my father gave her.
Yes, that's right. In any case, now that she's got the dog back again, surely to goodness she can forget about the collar. She can quite well afford to buy the wretched animal another one. I mean, I've even offered to buy it one myself.
Yes, but it isn't another collar she wants, Mr. Lincoln. It's this one.
Is this the collar she's causing all the fuss about?
Yes.
Good Lord. May I?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. It's a very nice one. Very nice. But I fail to see what all the excitement's about.
So do I, Mr. Lincoln. Anyway, you can tell your aunt the collar's here. If she wants it, she can get in touch with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, that solves the problem. Thank you, Mr. Carey. I'm very much obliged to you. I know it's none of my business, and I hope you don't mind my asking you, but why didn't you give my aunt the collar the other day when she picked up the poodle?
I didn't give it her, Mr. Lincoln, for the simple reason that I hadn't got it. Superintendent Bromford had it. But I told your aunt this.
Really? Well, there you are, you see. She never told me that. She never said a blessed word about it. Well, thank you, Mr. Carey. Thank you.
Ask your aunt to give me a ring, will you?
Yes, I'll most certainly do that. And again, many thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Hampstead 1507.
Superintendent Bromford?
Speaking.
I'm sorry to trouble you this time of night, sir. Jack Carey.
What can I do for you, Carey?
Oh, well, if I remember rightly, sir, when you saw the banisters, they were just going off somewhere. Can you remember where they were going?
Yes, they were going to Aldborough.
Aldborough in Suffolk?
Yes, I think it's in Suffolk. Why? What's this all about, Carey?
Thank you, sir. That's just what I wanted to know. Good night, sir. I'm sorry to have troubled you. Morning, Douglas.
Morning, Jack. Oh, Jack, we've had a letter from a firm in Inverness called Pinhigh Limited. They say they used to do business with us about 5 years ago. Do you remember them?
What do they make, do you know?
Well, they used to make sweaters, but apparently they switched to swimsuits. Tartan bikini's a speciality.
Is this yours?
No, I borrowed it from Liz. I wanted to look up something. I'll get it. Bob Kerry Limited? Yes, he is. Hold on a minute. It's for you. It's Mrs. Lincoln.
Good morning, Mrs. Lincoln.
Hello, Mr. Carey. I'm sorry to bother you. I've just been talking to Leonard, my nephew. He tells me he saw you last night.
Yes, we had an interesting chat.
I understand you've got the collar back, Midge's collar.
Yes, I have. Would you like it?
Oh, yes, I would, Mr. Carey. Thank you very much. Would you be kind enough to post it to me? My address is...
No, I'd rather not post it, Mrs. Lincoln. As a matter of fact, I want something from you, too. Call it a swat, if you like.
What is it you want?
Information.
Information? About what?
About a friend of yours, Mel Harris.
I don't know anyone called Mel Harris.
I think you do, Mrs. Lincoln. Anyway, the collar's here. If you want it, drop in the flat any time.
No, wait a minute. I don't want to come to the flat. It's not convenient. Do you know a pub, the Golden Plough?
The one in Barnes?
Yes. Meet me there this evening, Mr. Carey, about 7 o'clock. I'll be in the saloon bar.
Why, hello, Mr. Carey. Good evening.
Hello, Mr. Penn. How are you?
I'm very well indeed, thank you, sir. I haven't seen you here before. Is this one of your usual haunts?
No, I'm afraid it isn't. I'm just meeting a friend of mine.
Ah, I see.
Well, this is your local, I suppose, isn't
Yes, my shop's just round the corner.
Ready, Ducky. Has Chew been behaving himself?
Oh, yes, he's been as good as gold.
What, no tiddles?
No.
Good boy.
Excuse me, aren't you a friend of Kathy White?
Kathy White? I don't know anyone of that name.
But surely you had dinner with her last night in a restaurant at Notting Hill Gate.
No, I've just told you. I don't know anyone called Kathy White. Sorry. Come on, Ducky, I'm getting hungry.
Scotch and soda, please.
Yes, sir. Excuse me, sir. Mr. Carey?
Yes.
There's been a phone message for you, sir, from a Mrs. Lincoln. She's very sorry. She won't be able to keep her appointment with you after all.
Well, when was this? When did she phone?
About half an hour ago, sir.
Did she say anything else?
Yes, she said she'd phone you later tonight, sir, at your flat.
I see, yes, thank you.
Scotch and soda, you said, sir?
Yes, no ice. Hello, Mrs. Lincoln? Hello? Damn. Hello? Hello?